All right, now we're going to explore a little bit into the mimic effect. And there's a lot of practical reasons for somebody learning the mimic effect. First and foremost, the mimic effect is not really there for somebody who is going through gang stalking at a light level, or for somebody who just gets minor gang stalking assignments done to them. There's people who go through different levels of gang stalking. Me, myself, has been like extremely high. It's always been extremely high, and it always will be. But other people go through gang stalking at extremely high levels, and the mimic effect is something they're going to be able to, the manipulation of the mimic effect. I redid the mimic effect, and I turned it into the genie effect for myself, as to where I can do things or say things or interact with people, and through the networking of the gang stalking, the advanced compartmentalization and psychological protocols they use, they mimic myself back to me based on what I'm doing. So if I sit there and I can sit there and start talking about Chinese women a whole lot. Next thing you know, they'll be actually getting Chinese women to participate in the gang stalking assignments. They'll network to the people based on just their looks. They're always doing that. There's always a great mimic effect. And so it's at such a high level with me, it like comes back like the Matrix. And it's cool too, because I'll just be sitting there and I'll just be giving it up. Like yeah, man, Chinese women. You know, like, man, that girl, Japanese, light-skinned Japanese girl, she was so fine. And, man, these big fat women and stuff, and she's petite and pretty and stuff. And next thing you know, they'll have a whole bunch of petite, pretty Japanese women following me around. And it's cool, but there's something else to the mimic effect that people can't recognize. It's not really that you're just enjoying this or you're trying to recreate the reality around you. I spoke before in the last 3 videos about how gang stalking uses simultaneous psychological operations. Like, it's really going on. It's not a joke. But if I go and I speak to somebody, they'll have that person gang stalking me, then 5 people that look like that person. Then they'll ride in a car with somebody, and the other 5 people will ride the car with the same type of looking person. Then it can happen with like 4 or 5 other people simultaneously, and so it's like 5 different psychological operations going on. In my mind, it makes me feel like people are just hanging from strings, like there's somebody up there in the sky just like like, you ever seen that movie Nightmare on Elm Street 3? If you haven't seen it, go check it out, where Robert Englund, who plays Freddy Krueger, he got the strings and he's taking the man and he's gonna make him fall off the school or fall off the mental institution. And so that's what it reminds me of. It's like there's some guy out there in the sky who got all these string people on strings, and he's just like, oh, we're going to do this, and oh, we're going to do that. And he got other people under him with strings, and other people under those people with strings, and they're all just string people, just pulling people around. That's what it feels like to me. And that's what it feels like. And so it's like an invisible hand that just comes in like bam, 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 bam. Like I'm a tiger on the Serengeti in Africa, or a lion, and they're just like, they manipulate the environment around the creature. So they can just shoot me with a tranquilizer, I get sick, they come in and fix my foot and leave. Or they do things in my environment and I'm an animal, and like I'm not capable of knowing how they're doing it, but I know they're doing it, and so I'm trying to make sense out of it and stuff. That's exactly what it feels like. And it's sophisticated and advanced. Artificial intelligence is doing it, and there's people who plan it and all sorts of stuff. I've been watching it happen for 3 years. A lot of people would be dead if they went through it. But the master mimic class I created with the genie effect is set up not just so you can have them mimic you and do orchestrations, but it balances out your mind. It's difficult for an individual to have this many different psychological operations projected at them. I don't know how I can put it in perspective for somebody who isn't going through it. You're talking about groups of people literally following you and stalking you 24/7 with red and black shirts, noise campaigns. Some people get covertly drugged. It's happened to me. Electronic weapons, and this goes on non-stop 24/7 constantly, and you'll have 5 sets of that going on simultaneously. And so it becomes your world, and that's all you know. But through the mimic effect, you can alter these orchestrations that are going on, and then it gives you some power over it. So it's not so much about, hey, blah, 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 you start talking about something or start doing something and talking to people, and they change the mimic effect, but it's more about like having some, you create, it's almost metaphysical the way it feels. You create a state of control, a sphere of influence over these psychological operations. So it gives your mind balance. The average person's mind, a lot of people get gang stalked. They end up getting on drugs. They end up going psychotic. They end up killing themselves or running out and killing somebody else. Then there's a lot of people who don't. People see me on YouTube. I talk on YouTube. I talk with multiple other people that are doing just fine. But people who get on a high level have real issues with it. It's strenuous on the mind. The mind is only meant to go so far. The mind is only meant to go so far. But then again, the mind can go a lot further than what people think. But the way they're raised and the way they use their mind, it only goes so far. So you have to change your mind. Your consciousness has to be able to expand out further. And so that's one thing you have to learn, is how to change your sphere of influence on how you're being mimicked. And you're balancing out these psychological operations 24/7. So for somebody who's getting gang stalked and it feels like hostile to them, because they have people do it who the people come off hostile to. That happens to a lot of different people. Not me as so much. With me, it's just more intense. Like the psychological orchestration, I can't explain it. Just the consistency of it is just so intense. It's like every other set, like every couple minutes. Like I can go sit down at a park. Next thing you know, people will just start walking up wearing red and black. Constantly, the cars will come by with the brights. The people in the cars will be mimicking other people and stuff. It's just 24/7, constant. There's nothing I can do about it. But then with other people, there's other types of approaches they get where they feel more threatened by the people involved, if that makes sense. And during the confusion stage of gang stalking, that most naturally happens anyway, right? You most naturally feel it anyway. But I think with women too, it feels like that. So if you can try to get at peace with yourself or try to harmonize with yourself, it'll feel a lot better. But I think for myself, I broke it a lot. Like I've been out walking at 3 a.m. in all different sorts of neighborhoods telling people about, I've done that. I've been out walking at 3 a.m. and I've actually told people about gang stalking in areas that didn't look too safe. I mean, at the time, I don't think I gave a fuck if I died or not. But I would go out there and I would talk to the people about it. And this was a time when I was being gang stalked so bad and it was so horrible, I just didn't want to be in one place. I wanted to be out. So I'd go on these long walks. And I went to a lot of nice places too, a lot of rich neighborhoods and fancy places. People, with like expensive suits, $400 haircuts. People who drove like, $150,000 cars, $200,000-$300,000 cars. Things like that. I would go, all the way up to $500,000 cars. Like I approached somebody before they were riding a Lamborghini, and I told them that I was being gang stalked, and I was the only person who would ever be gang stalking, and I was talking to them about it. And so it's always, it's just, I'm just so used to dealing with people going through it. And that's another thing. It's the people you approach too. Like in June of 2016, I first started educating people on my strategies to beat gang stalking, where I said that you can approach the people who are gang stalking you. Like you can walk up to them and talk to them and tell them, I'm being gang stalked, this is my name, and this is what's happened in my life. And they'd say, well, okay, yada yada, how'd this happen? Or sometimes they would talk about their participation, and I'd speak to them about it, and they would fill me in on certain types of things. And sometimes it's the people that I've gone to that I've been talking about that like it changed it. They started mimicking me. If that makes sense. They became the people who would start gang stalking me more, or the people who looked like them would start gang stalking me more. So it helped to who you go to and who you talk to is a big part of the mimic effect, and you're always being watched. Aerial view is going on. So if you're being gangsta, especially at the level I'm at, if you're out walking the streets, there's always an overall aerial view of you. Like there's like hundreds of satellites in outer space, and anybody can buy space on them. Nike has space on them. The Chinese got space on them. There's drones and stuff. There's all kinds of stuff out there. So people use those networks, those computer networks. I mean, there's a lot of money involved in gang stalking. You better believe you're being watched from up above. But so that's going on. And then that's how a lot of times they do the technological networking, because I've left my house and gone on walks with no cell phone on me and went into the woods and ran and got away from all the cars and like hung out in the woods and came back out, and they would be gang stalking me. People would even come in the woods. How are they doing that if they weren't watching me air from up above? So, and then, so who you approach and who you go to and the places you frequent, that's how they're going to know to mimic you. Another thing is too with the cell phones. If you have a cell phone, this is one thing I noticed. I was dating a woman for a couple months who was participating in the gang stalking assignments on me, and I had a cell phone, and I thought I was talking to her about things about like people I knew, gang stalking that was going on, like other girls I had spoken to and stuff. Like we were just hanging out, just talking, and I was being mimicked. No, we were talking about Santa Claus one time. For some reason, we were just talking about Santa Claus, and this is in the middle of summer. And the Santa Claus concept started being mimicked back to me, and I was thinking, like, did she tell like the people that were paying her the Walmart cards and the like prepaid credit cards? Was she talking to them about it? And she was drunk at the time, and so I don't think she wasn't smart enough to do it right then, right? Like she was drunk, and so I realized that they can listen to you through an audio input on your phone. Like if you have, I was using an iPhone, and if you even talk around your phone, there's audio that they can pick up on. So I can set my phone down on the table and have a conversation with somebody else sitting right there, and the audio input on the phone can pick up the sound, and they can know what we're saying. It's the same thing as if you're talking on your phone, right? And so I realized technology plays a big part of the mimic. Like audio, television sets, all this new stuff, all this new technological stuff, they got audio devices that can pick up on it. If you have an ADT security system, they can probably listen on the other side. You go to buildings. If you're out in the city and you're going to new buildings, smoke detectors probably got there's a private security surveillance system that's running 24/7, and that's how they're keeping tabs on you and keeping watch on you. Then they can use other people's cell phones to listen to you. So if I don't got a cell phone on me, but Jim got a cell phone on him, they can listen through Jim's phone and know what we're talking about. So there's a constant audio visual surveillance running 24/7, and it's all through what you consider to be the private security industry. And that's why the mimic effect is so strong. And a lot of people will be getting mimicked, and they'll say people are reading my mind. People are reading my thoughts. There is technology out there who, at this point in time, can perceive, thought patterns and where people are at, but it's not going on how people think it's going on. Their conversations being picked up by the audio. It's happening to everybody. It's happening to everybody across the world, but for the people who are being gang stalked, it's being utilized in a way to mimic the gang stalking back to them. So most people don't know there's something as sophisticated like this exists, but then when they get gang stalked, then they start to discover it. And people look for answers. They think, people are reading my mind. I'll say, no, they're listening to you around your phone. You just told them you were around your phone. Or you set it around somebody else's phone, and they picked up on it. Or they watched you aerially from the sky. And so this is all incorporated, all the information that's collected, and the ways in which they're watching you and the places you're going, it's being incorporated into the psychological orchestrations it's being used to keep the gang stalking going, but then it's being incorporated into the psychological operations that are going. So if I'm around a phone and I'm with Jim, I'm like, man, Jim, you see that girl? Man, that's a bad motherfucker, man. Jim, she looks so good, Jim, blah, blah, blah. And then I'm talking to Jim, and I go back home, and next thing you know, they got the girl following me around gang stalking me. I'm like, man, that motherfucker, Jim, who did you tell I was talking to you like that? He didn't tell anybody. The phone, through the input, did that. And I'd be thinking somebody read my mind. A lot of people being gang stalked, they'll start tripping. They'll be like, man, either Jim's telling on people, or they're being, somebody has some device. I've never thought that anybody could read my mind, but there's a lot of people out there being gang stalked that will come up with that because they don't know the private security system and the surveillance instruments and the techniques that they're using. They haven't figured that aspect out yet. They haven't been observing their environment long enough and learning new tricks and stuff long enough, so they're new to it and they're figuring it out as it goes. And so that's one of the biggest things right there that's been going on. Now again, I've been going through gang stalking for almost 3 years. And so it's taken me time through the confusion stage of gang stalking to get a grasp on it. Now, I've spent years researching conspiracies and alternative research on a deep level, right? But I never recognized that until I've heard people say things like that. Like I've heard people say things like, well, there's somebody out there who can watch everybody, knows where everybody goes. But I never knew any, until I've experienced gang stalking at an intense level, I never knew anything like that existed. And so it wasn't until I had this experience that I began to see this is how this works. And it's so sophisticated too. Like, I've gone to buildings where everybody in the building is playing a role. It'll be a Fortune 500 company buildings. I can look at the guys and tell these guys have made $1 million deals over the phone. Like, literally. They made $1 million deals over the phone. Right? I'd be looking at them like, man, like I can tell by looking at them. But they participate in the gang stalking. Then I can go over somebody's house who they're in like an area you consider the slums, and they're on drugs, or there's somebody homeless outside, and they're participating in the gang stalking. You gotta think, how sophisticated is that? A system that can follow you to build it. You got people with their own lives who are wealthy, who have their own, they're not even, there should be no reason why they'd be thinking about me whatsoever. But they're participatory in the gang stalking. Explain that. Then there's homeless people out there on the ground participatory in the gang stalking. That's why the mimic effect is so important, because you're constantly adjusting and readjusting what you're going through, and it creates support. Like, it feels like you're balanced, like you know how you juggle? It feels like you're juggling. Like you're juggling these psychological operations, you're juggling these types of different things and these different types of concepts. And that's exactly what it feels like. When I say how they got the people on the strings, that's exactly how it feels. You know how people talk about like the Illuminati and the New World Order and stuff? I've heard people say that over the years, that type of stuff exists. That's exactly it. It feels like somebody's like just sitting there with strings, like just controlling, like they can go through anything. It's an invisible hand. Like, I know for a fact if I went to the Kremlin, it would be going on in the Kremlin. I know that. I'm not stupid. I know that. And everywhere I go, it's stuff like that going on. And that's exactly, it's like an invisible hand. String people. Like, they have little puppets and stuff. They just be like, yeah, we're going to make her look like this. We want a Chinese girl. We want the Chinese girl to wear some tight shorts. Jamil's talking about girls. He's talking about all the girls. Look, we're going to do this to him. We're going to do that to him. Then make the old man get out there and Jamil was talking about McDonald's. Make the person. They just clown everything. They just clown everybody. They make everybody look like clown. They got that. That's what they've been. Ask anybody who goes through gang stalking what it looks like, and they'll tell you that. And if you ever want to figure it out. If you're saying, man, that's just too out there, man, that guy's on drugs or he's tripping, and you don't believe that, and you want to figure it out, go out there and get some information that you suspect. That go out on the. I know how you can figure it out real quick. I know how you can figure it out real quick if you don't believe it exists. So all right, so the mimic effect, that's something. So contact me. I host a master class on the mimic effect, and I'm into all sorts of subjects. Astrology, numerology, Kabbalah, astral projection, like etheric travel, lucid dreaming. I'm into a lot of different stuff. Like, I'm very spiritually open into metaphysics and all that. But I host for the gang stalking a master mimic class. This will help you make sense out of, if you're saying, oh my God, all these different people with all these different colors, and it's so crazy. Now coming back, I was saying, like I said, they can have simultaneous orchestrations, and they'll have one orchestration wearing a certain color and another orchestration wearing a certain color, and they might mix the people together. It's crazy. You got to go on my YouTube channel. There's videos, and there's one video where it shows a monkey, and the monkey was being experimented on through mind control. Like, the old MK Ultra experiments, like with Dr. Delgado or Ewan Cameron or Sidney Gottlieb or any of these characters. What's some more? There were some really good ones, man. That's not even scratching the surface. Where they take drills and go into their skulls and give the monkeys LSD and all that stuff and really just trip them out. And they put I'm watching a movie right now with Christopher Walken called Mind Snatchers. and they put the chips in their head. There's all sorts of people that the CIA just experimented on doing the behavioral modifications and all that. And I put in the video with the monkey, that's in the files. So you can go check out, there's 2 links to the Intelligence Select Committee that talks about the experiments over the years. And see, I'm not stupid. I know somebody have, for all the money that's been spent on gang stalking me, somebody better have some experimental information or some data that they use. They'd be stupid if they didn't, to spend all that. Somebody better be keeping some sort of note, and so they can use it. They'd be a fool if they didn't. But the experimental stuff from the old MK Ultra experiments, they got that. I put the links up, and they got where they experiment on people with LSD and different sorts of stuff. So if you're being gang stalked on, you want to look into that stuff and research that stuff and get a handle for how these experimentations work. This stuff comes into like the sensitization stage with color coding and color patterning and all that stuff. That's where you're really going to use it. When somebody's trying to invade, take a hostile invasion of your life and mess with your mind. Somebody wants to just, they want to have put real estate in your mind and influence your mind so much. You got to be responsible for your own mind. I think a lot of people feel silly. A lot of people are afraid to talk about it openly. I don't even like to swear, but I don't give a fuck. Whoever thinks whatever about me, I know what's happened to me. So I don't give a, my job is to help myself and to help the other people who are going through it. People who are suicidal, people who need help. People just say, Jamil, I can't do this anymore and no one will help me. I want help. That's the people that anybody else, I can't do nothing for them. That's on them. But, so the master mimic effect is there to help the people balance out these psychological orchestrations so they can get through their life. And this stuff is more difficult to prove. If you ever wanted to do a presentation on the master mimic effect, it'd take a lot of time to show how there's one look. I would have to start filming it and show how there's certain people and then show how that changes over time. That's probably going to be something I end up doing just to show people, But I like to film just the regular brightening and color coding and all this stuff, and that's good enough for right now for people to see that. But over time, I might show people how the mimic effect works, how we can get some people out there who they can change the way color they wear or their hair color, or we can change, be all Chinese women. But then you got to think, it's strange because this has to deal with time and space and reality. When I change when I do something in the mimic effect, it is like the Matrix. I'm changing time and space. There will be people participating in the gang stalking who will only be there just because of how they look. That's altering geographic locations. That's altering time and space. This is like quantum physics type stuff. That's what I'm saying. This is some motherfucking beat. This excuse my language. This stuff is cool if you really get into it. It's how far your mind can go. The average person's mind to me looks weak compared to everything I went through. I had to spend 10 days in a psychiatric unit and people try to force drugs on me. A lot of stuff's happened. That's not even scratching the surface. And I was being gang stalked the whole time I was there. All because I asked for a glass of water after coming off a long walk. There's a lot of stuff, I've seen a lot of crazy stuff through this gang stalking, so it takes a lot of responsibility and a lot of power. And the master mimic effect, I think I learned from the people, I talk about the people with the strings who do the orchestra, that's how it feels. It's like I feel like they kind of raised me a little bit, like they kind of grew me. You know what I mean? Like a force that's there, but I've been watching it and I know it exists. I'm the only person who's been there the whole time. Other people do gang stalking, that's only a split second that they do a gang stalking assignment. I'm the only person who's been me every single second, all the way through, all the way there. Nobody else is an authority on me but me. So I sat there and watched the people orchestrate the gang stalking assignments 24/7, and I've seen it all. I know it all. And so I've learned from watching it. Like the string people. And so that's just one of the things I do. I'm hosting a master mimic class
Like, it's like some Deep Space Nine. Like, you got to be prepared. I'm going hard. You got to be prepared to go. If you're being gang stalked and you know all these people are mimicking you and you got this sophisticated network using the GPS tracking and all this stuff, you got to be prepared to go. Like, if you call me and you say, I know what you're talking about because I'm being mimicked 24/7. I need your advice. I need your help. Like, I'm there. And this master mimic class is really going to help you, you know? And so that's what it is. I also talk to people. I've been covertly drugged a lot, and I don't even know what was in the drugs. For real, I don't know what the drugs were. The drugs were horrible. Like, I felt like I was getting sick and passing out and about to die a couple times, and I was jump roping and stuff. I went to the restaurants, and even after I took the drug, the people would be like doing street theater in the restaurant, like mimicking back to me that they knew I was drugged. That's how messed up it is. You know, it's bad. Electronical weapons, psychotronic weapons, different sorts of stuff. But I'm trying to think. So I pretty much counsel people on anything, you know. But a lot of people say, well, your counseling is not going to do me any good, Jamil. If I get drugged, what's going to do good? Well, I say type up some paperwork. I used to do that. I used to get some papers and I type it up and I let them know, like, I'm being gang stalked, I beat gang stalking, and I type up like a little resume of who I am, and I go into the restaurant, I write it on a paper and I show it to them and be like, yeah, people could come here and ask you to drug me, or somebody in the corporate management can do it, because there's a lot of like harassment that's been done, like psychological harassment. It's called gang stalking. Like, if you don't know, ask somebody, you know, and I tell them about it and I bring it to them. And, you know, if you want to be a punk and not speak up for yourself, then that's on you. But if you want to go in there, do you want to go in there and take the risk of not getting drugged and being a punk and not saying anything? Or do you want to come up with the paperwork and go in there or write it out and you can show them? It don't happen to me no more, so I don't worry about it. But go in there and show them. Like, speak up for yourself, right? Same thing with the noise campaigns. The noise campaigns are so rough. I teach confusion stage, distraction stage, sensitization stage, and all right, let me start here. The confusion stage, I've spoken about this so much. Like, just go watch a video I did on it. But the confusion stage is basically when it first starts happening, you don't know what's going on, and the bright lights and the red shirts aren't necessarily happening. Like, you don't know you're being, like, they'll be picking scenarios to mess with you, so you don't know what's going on. That's the confusion stage. That can last years, you know? Now in today's age, it's a lot shorter because of the internet, and people get explained to them what's going on through the internet. But you can learn that I'm being gang stalked, and you can break it down for yourself so you know you're being gang stalked. Now you move on. The distraction stage is what I talked about in the past few previous videos about how that's where where they use women you like or people you know, and they create the psychological operations because they realize you're not going to kill yourself, you're not going to get a gun and go kill somebody else, and you're not going to go psychotic. So now they said, damn, they know what's happening to them. They know they're being gang stalked, so now we got something for them. We got something that's really going to blow him back. Now we're going to start taking the people he talks to and paying them to gang stalk him, and finding people who look like them to do it and create all these simultaneous. It's like I said, it's not as sophisticated as taking somebody in a laboratory and cutting their brain open with a knife and putting implants in them and drugging them and making them, like, putting like electroshock and all that stuff like they did back in the MK Ultra days. But it's pretty sophisticated, though. They can really fuck with your mind. I'm going to be honest with you. There's some people, excuse my language again. I know this is an educational course, but we got to be realistic. It can really mess with your perception of reality. For real. It will do that. You're listening to somebody who's been going. If you're watching my YouTube video, don't be stupid. Like, are you awake? Is anybody in there? Wake up. You're listening to somebody who's been getting stalked for almost 3 years through orchestrated gang stalking. Don't be stupid. Listen to what I'm saying. I'm not lying to you, and I'm not making this stuff up. All right? So, if you're being stalked by these orchestrations, they're wearing red shirts, trying to color sensitize you to it, and doing all this different stuff. Are you in there? Don't be stupid. Wake up. They're trying to sensitize. But that's the feeling I have. Sometimes people just don't get it. But they're they're using neuro-linguistic programming and these different types of strategies to wake the person up. I mean, to mess the person up and get it. They're trying to put real estate in your mind. Like, that's all it is. Behavioral neuroscience, yada yada. So that's so again, the confusion stage, distraction stage, sensitization stage. That's where we come in with the brainwave optimization. So you can open those neural pathways back up and get the help that you need. Like, you can open up, whatever they're doing to your mind, however they're trying to mess you up. And it's been going on for a long time. You can open yourself back up and start to get you feel a relief within your environment. Just, I wish, if you're not being gang stalked, then but. And for the people who aren't being gang stalked, they have a set feeling on it that, oh, it's not real, you're making it up. I always tell them, okay, you don't believe it's real? Go do something. Go start telling the people the truth and watch what happens to you. Like that movie Michael Douglas, go sign up for the corporation. Now, all right, so again, going back, okay, we were on the confusion stage, the distraction stage, and the sensitization stage. Now going back to color perception, this incorporates with different brain waves. Like we talked about the alpha, beta, theta, delta, gamma. But red naturally brings up a nervousness. It naturally makes people hostile. Like if a bunch of people with red shirts come into the room that you're in, you naturally feel uneasy. You don't like it. It's a bad sort of feeling. Now this gets a little bit into spiritual aspects because the chakra system, the lowest chakra is the Muladhara chakra. And a lot of people who are Christians or are Muslim or Jewish or whatever you may be, you may not resonate with the whole concept of the chakra system. But for those of you who do, I speak from that perspective as well. The Muladhara chakra is survival and fear, and that the color is red. And so I think the science of gang stalking is employed a lot spiritually, not just psychologically, but even from the psychological perspective alone. Constant red, constant disturbance, constant uneasy feeling. And, so what you want to do is you want to really you train your own mind to get past that. Like blue colors will heal your mind. So if you can meditate on a blue ball or a blue sphere, or the crown chakra is the seventh chakra, that's the highest chakra. That's the pineal gland, which releases dimethyltryptamine, right? Which is a natural chemical, right? Some people smoke it through ayahuasca and stuff, but I don't, I wouldn't necessarily recommend that. But I'd recommend people expressing the opening of the seventh chakra. And then you have the sixth chakra, the third eye, then the fifth chakra, the throat chakra, which is basically speaking truth, right? Like what I'm doing right now. But the seventh chakra, if you work on these different aspects spiritually, you'll have a really good time. You'll be able to open yourself up and open up Kundalini energy and whatnot. But if you're not into that stuff, then that's cool. That's still cool. Don't even trip off it. But just dealing with the psychological aspect of it, the mental functions, right, in your environment, that's what you want to stick to. And so that's why I always tell people, if you're being gang stalked, you can approach the people and you can talk to them one-on-one, and it'll open you up. So you don't identify red as a hostile color, right? You don't identify red as being a negative thing. It doesn't change your color perception, your view. You identify the people. Like I talked to that person, they had a red shirt, and I recognized they were supposed to be participating in the gang stalking, but it wasn't anything, it wasn't anything negative, it wasn't anything bad. I neutralized it. And if you can continue to neutralize the stuff enough, it'll naturally do it. And then through the sound wave optimization, all that stuff, it'll help you in just talking about it. Like constant therapy and then eating right, doing all that stuff. But then sometimes you ignore certain stuff and you go out in nature a lot. Like I was hiking the last few days and I really enjoyed it. I had a great time. It was wonderful. And I didn't have to worry about being like in stores around a bunch of people that I didn't know. And I didn't have to think about, oh man, do I want to talk to these people and tell them about the gang stalking? Because a lot of times I just don't. I've done it so much for so long, and I've been like I'm like a big motivation behind helping a lot of people. Like a lot of people know me on the internet as, you know, helping them through the gang stalking. And sometimes I'm out. It's like I'm tired of like that's not who I am. Like man, I was born that long. You know, this has been going on for 3 years. My God, I don't want to go everywhere and be like, oh, I beat gang stalking, all this stuff. It's like it'd be nice just to be able to be like, my God, I don't want to talk. I don't want to know anything about it. I don't want to talk about it. And it's hard to do when you're in cities and towns because you're constantly being gang stalked. So getting out into nature, if you can go hiking and go camping and you can get away from numbers of people, if you can get away from hordes of people, then you don't got to worry about them being approached to do the gang stalking assignments. They will be approached, but it's not going to be so consistent. Then you're in a situation where it's like more isolated and people are more open. You're going to come across like people who are more open, you know, like hippie-ish type people or people who like are on the extreme. Like I was meeting people, somebody who was like skydiving and all that stuff. It was some new cool stuff I had never heard about before. And it's like the setting changed. Like the setting changed. And so the vibe changed and gang stalking was just like whatever, you know. But so getting out in nature and exploring, you know, different aspects of yourself and meeting new people, you know, that's what you want to be doing. Now we're going to be going down. That master mimic class isn't a joke. That master mimic class isn't a joke. Like it's about altering the psychological harassment orchestrations to fit what you want, to fit your needs. Another thing is this, electric chemical. The electronical weapons. There's people who have electronical weapons. Like it can be at your work, in your office. It can be different people you live by or something. It can be anybody. Like in a van, you could be visiting somebody and somebody could be in a van using them. Like electrical weapons work like that. That's just the electrical guns. But then they have like the different sorts of technologies where somebody's in a generator room and they can project a certain signal to a location. Like there's stuff like that going on out there, and it does something to the mind. It does something to your brain, and it changes your brain chemistry, and that's why being in nature is so important. Like electronical weapons and all that stuff, man. It's like I'm straight on that stuff. Like I know about it a little bit because I've been getting gang stalked for 3 years, but when you're in an environment like this house and stuff, just talking to people about it and having people come around talking about it, it's like I don't want to do that. Like I want to be out in the nature. You know, I don't want my mind to be messed with, and so I just encourage people, if you feel like somebody's messing with you or sending some sort of frequency at you, like go out into nature. I know a woman who, she was telling me how the electronical weapons were so bad, and I was with her in person, and then I could feel the energy, whatever was happening to her, I could feel it around me. And I didn't even know how that kind of stuff worked, because I'm trying to think, there's like a place somewhere where somebody can use electrical antennas or cell phone towers or satellite. How are they doing? Like it's so complex. I don't understand it. I really don't. I know I get the concept of it, but I don't know how that works. And when I was with her, the whole atmosphere of the room changed. Like it became more like an agitational thing. And so, I encourage people to go out in nature if that happens to them. And then the isolation factor. I forgot to speak about that. Somebody asked me to speak on that. The isolation factor is where people, this usually happens in the first stages of gang stalking, And gang stalking systematically, naturally begins to isolate somebody because it networks to the people around you, even family members, and it can network to your place that you work at, the neighborhood, and it can network anywhere. And so it naturally isolates you because when you come across new people, they've already been approached and asked to participate in the gang stalking. So it creates a natural isolation between you and the people around you. But that's not necessarily a bad thing. Like, if you want to withdraw your energy and go into your house and spend more time in your house, and that doesn't have to be a bad thing. Like, there's nothing wrong with spending some isolation away, but you don't want to become like a recluse and a hermit and spend all this time in an environment that you don't want to be in. Like, if I want to be outside, I'm going to be outside. Like, that's how I started approaching people, telling them about the gang stalking. Was because of the isolation factor. I just got, that's just how it started. But so I'm gonna write that down, isolation factor. So don't think of isolation as necessarily a negative. All you have to do is start to get more of an appreciation for yourself and more of appreciation for your environment, and go outside more and talk to like more people. Again, I've been going through this every day for almost 3 years. And I've spoken to approaching 90 different people who've been going through it, literally approaching 90 different people. People I've interviewed, people I've met, just talked to over the phone. That's not even counting the emails. I've only hung out with one person in person. I've hung out with one person who was getting gang stalked. I've met somebody before that who used to get gang stalked, but I was only around one person who was currently getting gang stalked. And so out of 90 different people I've been speaking to, off and on, off and on up to this point, close to 90 different people. I've been around one person being gang stalked, but then I've spoken to literally at least 100 different people participating in the gang stalking, about gang stalking. And that's going from like people talking to them for 5 minutes to talking to them for an hour. And so I've spoken to way more people who were participatory in gang stalking assignments about gang stalking than I have even spoken to people being gang stalked. But I've spent more time speaking to those people being gang stalked, if that makes sense. So some of the people being gang stalked I speak to for hours and hours and hours and hours, versus only speaking for a portion of that time to the people who are participatory in the gang stalking. And so I'm sort of unique in a way to which a lot of people, I've met people recently who've been getting gang stalked for like 10, 15 years, and they've never even spoken to anybody. They've spoken to maybe one other person, but some of these people say, I've never spoken to anybody about it. I've been watching YouTube videos, I've been reading blogs, but I've never reached out. And I always tell the person, what's your email? And then they send me the email, I'll be like, what's your phone number? They'll send me the phone number, I'll just start talking to them on the phone about it. And then they'll say, oh my God, this is such a relief. I've never spoken to anybody about it. I thought I was alone, yada, yada, yada. And I'd be like, wow, that's crazy. That's really deep. That's some deep stuff. To live your whole life, live for years getting gang stalked, and you never even talk to any, but my God. Woo, that's insane. I couldn't even picture that one. But so 90 different people who've been going through gang stalking, and like over 100 different gang stalkers. And then some of the cases have been like people who were like near suicide. Some of these people have literally told me that like hey, had it not been for this communication or whatever, like I would have killed myself. Like they'd be like, I saved their life. And so since that point, I've just been trying to do what I can from my perspective to give people the different insights into how gang stalking works. At least how it works for me, what I've been going through, and different ways they can deal with it. And so 190, the psychological factor on it is so huge. So much of it is really spiritual, to be honest with you. I mean, I know there's a lot of people who are atheists or whatever, or don't believe in anything like that, but it wouldn't hurt you to look into it. If you are, all people are spiritual, right? All people have a spirit. So you have to explore that a little bit and look into that. But the psychological factor, the spiritual factor, yeah. That's all you got to do. and start approaching people, talking to people about it. And what I'd like to introduce to people is I'd be down for like an intervention for people. For remember that show Intervention on A&E where the people get high off of drugs and the family comes in and wants them to stop using drugs? Like, you can call me for an intervention. I never done anything like that, but I would do it though if somebody said, man, my family doesn't believe me, and Jamil, I know you understand what's going on, and you know you've been there to help me, so I want an intervention. I want an intervention with the different. I want an intervention with my wife or my husband or my whole family. I want a big intervention, right? And I'd be cool with that. Like, you can put me on Skype or something, or get me on a phone, on speakerphone. I'll do the intervention from here, and I'll let them know what's going on, and we can go get some See, there's other people who are going through this. There's documentation out there on this subject. This isn't like there's statistics on this stuff, you know. So I'm open for the interventions, even if it's for the workplace. If you want to like tell your boss like I'm being gang stalked and I need help, and I don't know what to do, I'm open for that, you know. I was the first person. I used to contact companies and talk to them about it and ask them were their employees going through corporate. It's called corporate mobbing, I think, is the common thing for it. But if you go and you look up corporate mobbing or workplace mobbing or gang stalking or whatever, there's a lot of people out there in corporations who didn't even know what gang stalking was, and they're going through that in their workplace. There's a lot of people who are in the government who get gang stalked. Like, there's been a lot of people who contacted me who were in the government or they were in the military, and they were just like, what is going on? I didn't even know this stuff was real, and I need help. And they would be like, I need help. I can't do this anymore. I had a nice family. I had a nice wife, and I'm being gang stalked, and nobody believes me. They all think I'm crazy. And I'd be like, the course is open to anybody. It's not, you know, I don't put nobody down over nothing. It's open to everybody, you know? And so that's what it is. Or there's people who don't have anything. There's people who don't have any job. There's people who are just out there, no work, no employment. They don't have anything. And, you know, they've been totally disregarded. That's what I really want to do, is doing those interventions. I'm down for that. So another thing is, like, there's been some things that have happened, and I don't have the proper books that I need. And the sort of books I need are really good books, and they're expensive, right? And listen, you know, the people who call me, I spend a lot of money doing the crisis counseling for them. And it's like this. If I could have the money I needed to get there's a hotel where there's a lecture hall. If I can get the lecture hall going, I can invite people from other places to come to the lecture hall. I can get the books I need on a small scale. I'm talking about like 5 or 8 people, you know, 7 people, 6 people. Well, if it's that small of a group, we wouldn't need a hall, but like 10 people or something like that. Just get a place where I can sit down and speak to people who are going through this, and have a chalkboard and be able to show people. And they can ask me questions, I can ask them questions, and we can come to conclusions together. Over the phone is so difficult, right? And so that's something I'm trying to achieve, is just a financial barrier of reaching that. Being able to create that venue for people. And then there's a thing about the books that I need. I don't have any money for that. If I had some money for the books that I needed, everything would be cool, for real. And so my email is rareartofsociety@gmail.com, RARE, rare art, ART, of society, SOCIETY, rareartofsociety@gmail.com. And then there's a GoFundMe link and a PayPal link on the front of the YouTube page. And so that's how you can get connected and get involved and you know, like, be a part, because there's people who call all the time who need help. And this is a way for me myself to have a therapeutic process with it, because I'm being gang stalked, right? I'm being gang stalked. And so me talking to people who are going through it
is helpful for me, but it's also more helpful for the people perhaps that are experiencing it. So if you donate, like every dollar helps and every dollar counts and every dollar is greatly needed. So whatever you donate, it'll go to the proper causes. And through the last 3 years, there's been so much. I've been going through gang stalking. There's been so many just horrible people and horrible stuff, and it's been rough. But I'm not tripping off it though. I just want to create a venue to get the crisis counseling going for people, and to get the courses coming for people to so they can come alive and be living again. The gang stalking is like spiritual. Like I said about the string people, it turns people into zombies. Like they want people to live in fear and be ignorant and be stupid, and they can control them on the strings like this, like zombie people, and they can manipulate the people and do this. And I say, you come to me, I'll teach you how to be your own string man and be responsible for your own mind. And you can get out there and do the little things you need to do and have a progressive and helpful life and educate yourself, so you don't have to live in constant fear and constant isolation, And so that's my goal. That's my vision for people, is for people to say, email me and want the assistance they need, or call and say, I'm desperate, I'm suicidal, I'm violent. I know you got education on the subject, and I come in and I'll teach you how to do it yourself. Like, I'm not going to do it for you, but I teach you how to learn your own power so you can manifest out of it. You can manifest out of it and not even trip off of it. Right? You can get through it yourself, but right? Well, I'm gonna show everybody a magic trick real quick before I sign off. All right, look at these cards. And I don't even like YouTube. Like a lot of people, YouTube's cool, but I don't like, this is just, it's different. See, there's a misconception out there. People don't know what they see on the internet. That's the big problem of it. People see me on YouTube and they don't know what they're seeing. There's a lot of people who are stupid and they don't know what they're seeing. And so that's why I want people, I'm just being real, But I just want people to be able to come get the assistance in person too. Because a lot of people will be like, man, he showed this video and it didn't look like these cars were doing come, if you're a non-believer, we can go hang out somewhere. We can go hiking and hang out somewhere, and you can see, I'll show you for yourself. I'm not making it up. I'll show you. If you don't believe I'm being gang stalked, and you think I'm making it up, and you think I'm lying, and you think I'm crazy or something, like come see it for yourself. That's all I'm saying. Come. I'll show you for real. I'll show you for real. It's real. All right. So these are cards, and we're gonna do a little card trick before I leave. We might do a couple of them. And what we want to do, these cards are cool, huh? Yeah. Oh, let me see if I can get this. Oh, bam! See that? Hold on. I haven't messed with cards in so long. That didn't look right. That look right on camera. That's not the trick. I just show. Bam! One-handed. All right, so I'm gonna do the trick. Man, I need $500. If I had $500 or $1,000, I'd be straight. We'd be saving. I'd go right down and get some books, and I get the brainwave optimization kit, and people would be getting there would be some trauma relief for real, from the PDS, the post traumatic stress disorder. And I work with MK Ultra victims. There's people that I talk to on the phone who are MK Ultra victims.
For real, for real. I know a few of the famous MK Ultra victims. But I know people who are not joking, not people who show up on the internet saying, I'm a super soldier and I was in the 15th dimension. Blah, blah, blah. No, I know people for real who really have been put under mind control and mind control experiments. For real, for real. No joke. I know people for real who've been under real mind control, laboratory stuff. Like, I help those people too, but my thing is for the people getting gang stuff. But alright. You see that? Well, I'm going to show everybody how to do it when it's over. But you got to send me $1 though. But I'm going to show you how to do it when it's over. Alright, so I'm going to show you how to do it. Alright, so you see how we took the two cards, black on the inside, red on the outside, and black on the inside, red on the outside, and we go like this. You just go like this. And then you breathe into it when you do it. Right? Like I go like this, and I go, and I go like that, and cross them over. Like they say a real magician never shows their tricks or whatever, but I say it's education on gang stalking, like you're going to learn whatever. So go. See that? That's GQ smooth, isn't it? Look, oh. So you go. So now you got now you learned a new trick. Hold up, I got some other tricks too. Alright, so hold on. Alright, now I've been shuffling these cards. I'm not looking at them, I'm just shuffling. So I can't see your card. I'm going to show you a card, but I can't see it. Maybe, let me, hold on a second, because I don't want people tripping. Well, just take my word for it. I'm not going to mess up the camera angle. But, so I'm going to show you the bottom card. Damn, it's not, I'm tripping, because I can't, because I'm going to see it. Alright. Well, you just gotta show up in person, I guess. Like, you gotta show, I mean, you know, I'm tripping. I can't show that trick because of the way the camera is, so you just gotta show up in person and learn it. But, alright. So, you know, but rareartofsociety@gmail.com.